This talk is going to be about human subjects research at Stern. Hi, I'm Professor Eric Greenleaf. I'm a member of the marketing department, and I'm also Stern's representative to the University Committee on Activities Involving Human Subjects, which we usually refer to as the IRB. And I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about getting approval for your research involving human subjects. First of all, what is the University Committee on Activities Involving Human Subjects? It's a committee here at NYU composed of faculty members and staff from the UCAIHS who are involved in the process of approving all research involving human subjects with a focus on protecting the rights of people who participate in this research. The UCAIHS is a committee that's established in accordance with federal guidelines. And all research involving human subjects at NYU has to be approved by the UCAIHS, which is often referred to as the IRB. By the way, if you've received IRB approval for your research from another institution, you will need to get that approval transferred to the NYU IRB, which is pretty straightforward. Now, the first question you have to ask in your research is, does it need review by the UCAIHS? In other words, does it involve human subjects? And if you go to this online link, you can get a lot of information about whether you're required to apply for IRB approval. If you do need IRB approval, what do you need to do? Well, first of all, you have to take the human subjects tutorial, which involves important information and responsibilities when you're dealing with human subjects in your research. And then you'll have to pass an online exam. Until you do this, you can't conduct research in Stern Behavioral Labs, and your RAs also need to pass this tutorial exam as well. The next thing you need to do is to decide which category you want to apply for. And again, if you go to the website, there's a nice little summary on how to apply. There are 3 categories for research: exempt, expedited, and full board. Exempt projects are exempt from federal regulations, and this is decided fairly quickly. Now, even if exemption is granted, it has to be renewed every 3 years. It's important to remember that you need to apply to the IRB even for exempt research, and it's up to the IRB to determine if your research is exempt, not up to you. Now, there are a few exceptions. If you're using data that doesn't come from humans, if you're using organizational level data, if you're using certain types of data that are what are called approved public use data, then you don't have to apply. But you need to find out what those types of data are. The second category is what we call expedited. Now, a lot of the research at Stern qualifies for expedited review. If there's minimum risk to participants, if you're dealing with anonymous surveys, then you qualify for this streamlined review process, but you still do need to apply. If you want to see if your research qualifies for expedited review, again, take a look at this checklist and you can find out. The third category is full board review. If your research involves more than minimal risk to participants, if it involves some sort of deception, if it involves vulnerable populations such as prisoners, children, etc., then you'll be required to go for full board review. Generally, the board meets about once a month to review these kinds of applications. And if you go to Forms and Guidance on the website, you can get more information about how to apply and when the meeting days are. Usually you get a decision email that's within about 10 days from the time that the committee meets. Sometimes you're approved, sometimes they ask for some changes. And you should expect it's going to take at least 2 months for the entire full board review process to take place, so please plan accordingly. Regardless of which category you're applying for, you should submit your application electronically. It's a paperless process. It's important to remember that the entire application is going to be submitted electronically, but you're going to submit 2 copies of the first page. The first is just going to be filled out and part of the regular form. The second is going to have to include your signature and then be scanned as a PDF. You're also going to need to include all applicable attachments, such as recruitment flyers, consent forms, etc., and these can be either in MS Word or PDF. And also include a copy of any instruments such as surveys, interview questions, etc. A very important document you're going to get from the IRB is a consent form, and we strongly urge that you use the IRB's consent form generator, where you put in some important information, it's put into some standard language, and you get the consent form. You will need to have a stamped copy of that consent form, stamped with the IRB's approval, to give to every participant in your studies. Or if you're doing an online study, there are other ways to get their consent. Obviously, they can't be signing a consent form online. Then you're going to send in your entire application packet to apply at Human Subjects, etc. Once you're approved, you're not done with the process. The IRB has to review your research at least annually. Usually you will get a renewal notice, but if for some reason you don't, it's up to you to contact the IRB and tell them you didn't get a renewal notice. The renewal procedure is pretty straightforward. You have to just submit some documents, and here's a list of them, including any planned research changes. But even if you are done gathering the data but are still analyzing it, you still need to apply for renewal. And if you need any help, I'm happy to talk with you. Here's my contact information, or you can contact the NYU IRB, and here's their contact information. So it's been a pleasure to talk to you all, and good luck. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. And looking forward to meeting all of you and to making your interactions with the IRB as smooth and productive as possible.